Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you're all doing really well. I thought I'd do something a bit different because I feel like I'm just churning out the weekly vlogs. I absolutely love a weekly vlog. It's one of my favourite videos to watch of people that I love watching, and it's one of my favourite videos to film. Vlogs are just like my thing. I feel like it comes really naturally to me, but I wanted to mix it up and do something a bit different because I also love watching these videos from other people. So I have collected my most recently asked questions. Does that even make sense? My most asked questions that I'm getting quite recently, to do a bit of a catch up and a bit of a chat, because I'm also making a cheesecake. We've got all of our little ingredients lined up here. Sam's mum and dad are coming round at the weekend, so I thought I'd be a cute daughter-in-law to be and make a cheesecake because they're helping us with a few jobs around the house. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity for us to have a little bit of a chat, a little bit of a catch up, bake a cheesecake. It's raining outside, so it's a real cozy little morning. I'm also trying to TikTok, so if this cuts at any point, just know that I'm whacking my phone on the tripod and getting some clips for TikTok as well. But yeah, I've just got a few little notes on my phone, and I thought this would be like a fun little video to film. The cheesecake that we're making is a white chocolate and Biscoff. I've got some white chocolate digestives, some Biscoff biscuits, and some digestives. I feel like I've gone overboard here. I feel like I've bought too many ingredients, but we don't mind extra biscuits around the house. I'm sure they get eaten. This is leaking. I don't know what's going on there. So yeah, let's get straight into it. I'm going to start off by making the... I don't think this has been dried properly. By making the biscuit, the buttery biscuit base. I'm just following like a BBC Good Food recipe, but I'm just going to wing it, to be honest. I hate following recipes like to a T. I'm quite weird like that. I like to just throw things in and wing it. So I'm going to just start off by throwing some of these in, and then we'll get on with the first question. I've never actually had a white chocolate digestive. Look at that. Are they new? I don't think it says new on them. I've never had them before. Let's just wax. Should we just do the whole packet? I'll just do the whole packet in there. Right, okay, so first question that I've got, this is a random order, by the way. I've literally just gone through my messages and my comments over on TikTok to come up with these. So it's just a completely random order. There's no like order or like, I've not planned this out, is what I'm trying to say. So the first one I've got on here is, how do we split bills and do we have a joint account? And I feel like this is quite a good question actually, because I'm just going to throw in some of the Biscoff biscuits. Because I feel like people, like everyone does things so differently in terms of like paying bills, and when you move in together and you've got like a mortgage, even if you're renting, whatever, you need to find something that works for you. And even like amongst our friends groups, everyone does things so differently. So I can see why people are curious about this. And I had a comment the other day actually on one of my food shop videos asking how we pay for the food shop and stuff. So me and Sam have always had a joint account, ever since we've lived in this house anyway, not when we were together. But I think it's even a good idea, like if you don't live together and you're doing like date nights and stuff like that, I feel like it's a good way to just split things 50-50, if that's how you work. Or some people that we know, if one of them earns more, then they split it accordingly to that, if that makes sense. But for us, it's always just been easier to have a joint account that we split everything. We both put the exact same amount in each month. So it is 50-50 with us, and then we've kind of like worked out what our bills come to, what we're spending on food shops, and we each just put that in a month when we get paid, or when Sam gets paid. I don't really have a payday as such, but that's how we've always done it, and that's how it works for us. And we also use that account, as well as like bills and the mortgage, we also use that for date night and anything that we do together. So we do put a little bit extra in to cover like dates and like weekends away, things like that. It's just what we've always done and what works for us. I thought Lola was creeping around wanting to go outside then. So yeah, we've always had a joint account, and that is what works for us. And I would advise it if you're someone that splits things anyway. I feel like it's good to have one, and as as long as you've got that agreement in before you start putting your money in, so that no issues come up along the way. I feel like it's always good to be quite transparent about money, because I feel like conversations about money can be awkward. So I feel like it's good to just be transparent from the beginning, especially when you move in together. I feel like you need that anyway. I hope you've been able to hear me over this bashing. I'm just trying to bash down all these biscuits. I've got the white chocolate and the biscuit in here. Right, next question. What holidays do we have planned and where do we want to travel? And I feel like this has come off the back of our America vlogs, because a couple videos went mental when we were in America, like absolutely mental. I've gained loads of American followers over on TikTok, and people have been asking where we want to go next, basically. So we don't have anything booked currently, although I have really got the itch to book another holiday. And where we want to go, or where I want to go this year, and I think Sam wants to as well, but we just need to do some more research on it. I really want to go to Bali and have 2 weeks in Bali, so we're looking to do that around September time. I just feel like it's really different to any other holiday that we've been on together, and both of my best friends have gone travelling around the Bali area, like Indonesia and all of that, and I just feel like it's something that I really want to do and see specifically before we have kids. I feel like it's one of those holidays that, although it would be possible with kids, I feel like it would be a completely different experience. And I feel like me and Sam are going to create this. I've not spoken to him about this, but I feel like it's something that I've had in my head. I want to do a bit of a like before babies bucket list of things that we want to get done before we decide to have kids, because we're in our late 20s now. Like, we're both going to be 27 this summer, which makes me feel sick saying that. I literally don't even resonate with being that age at all. I remember my mum and dad saying to me, like, you never feel older. Like, it's just a number, and I never used to get it, and now I do get it. This is taking me forever bashing up these biscuits, by the way. But yeah, I completely get it. Like, we've posted videos before when we were doing like our couple in our 20s with no kids and our dink era, and we've had comments from like parents like, you can still travel when you have kids, like it doesn't stop your life, and I get that to an extent, but no one can convince me that travelling and going to certain places is the same when you have kids as when it's not. So we're going to make a bit of a before babies bucket list, travel bucket list, and at the top of that list for me is Bali. So we're going to look at that in September. We're going to get a nice villa, I think. And then somewhere else Sam really wants to go is Japan, which I'm not going to lie, has never like been on the top of my list. But it's a completely different culture again, and I feel like it's just nice to experience different cultures. America was on our bucket list for so long. It was one of those trips that we've both wanted to do for ages, but I feel like culture-wise it's not hugely different to the UK. Obviously in some aspects it is, but on a whole, being in the country, it's not like a huge culture shock. So I just want to experience as many different cultures as we can, so Japan would be a good one as well. Italy, we want to do Italy, but this year I'm hoping we can go to Bali. So Bali in September, and then I'm probably going to go away with my friends. I'm not sure where yet. We've kind of like spoken about Greece and stuff like that. We went to Halkidiki a couple of years ago and that was so nice. But because I don't get to see my friends too often, when we do get together we do try to make a thing of it and like book to go away somewhere, even if it's just a long weekend. So that would be nice as well. But yeah, with me and Sam as well, when we say travelling and when we say we want to go to different countries and stuff like that, it's never going to be a backpacking vibe. Like for us personally, I feel like we're both past that anyway, and I feel like it's not in our nature. So when we're going to Bali and stuff like that, it will be in hotels and villas. It won't be like an adventurous backpacking experience as much as I admire people for doing that. It's definitely not us. So you won't catch us backpacking anywhere. It will always be, I say bougie hotel, just, you know what I'm getting at. We're not going to be staying in hostels or anything like that. I don't think we'd be that adventurous. Right. I think we're nearly there with the biscuits. This is taking forever though. I'm trying to work out the lighting because it's so grey and dark and gloomy outside, so I've got a light here. Apologies if the lighting is weird. I also just got a TikTok video, that's why we've cut. But this is honestly taking me about 15 minutes to crush these biscuits up, so if you're planning on making a cheesecake and you've got a food processor, 100% would recommend using that, because this has taken forever and they're still not as fine as I'd like them, but we've got some crumbs. I'm just going to melt some butter and then add it all together, obviously. So let's move on to the next little question that we've got. So I've put house and moving updates. Obviously no one's asked this because I've not spoken about it at all. But I often get questions about, you know, like the moving process, how we bought our first house, tips for first time buyers, that kind of thing. And it's coming up to the end of our time in this house. Which makes me really sad and emotional. Me and Sam got a bit freaked out the other day when we sort of came to that realisation, because we've just sort of like been happy as Larry, like living in this house, and when we first moved in it felt like we had forever in here, and we know how quickly time flies. And when we sat down and spoke about it, we were like, we really need to start thinking about what our next, you know, our plan is for the next chapter, because our time here is running up. So what that means, you might be thinking, why can't you just stay there? Basically, when we bought this house, there was a help to buy scheme that I believe isn't actually a thing anymore. I think we literally used it just in time. We bought this house just before COVID, like COVID affected the build and everything like that. So we signed our contract and reserved this house and everything literally just before COVID hit. Like the summer of 2020, or was it 2019? It probably was 2019. So we were actually really quite lucky. How much butter is in here? I'm just winging my estimations here. This cheesecake is probably going to end badly, but I hate following a recipe. I don't know what it is. It's like reading it and having to be precise. I just like throwing things in there. Just pop this in the microwave. So yeah, we bought this house just before COVID hit, and there was a help to buy scheme that I believe isn't running anymore. If it is, it's changed slightly to what we had. And basically, it's not a shared ownership. My mum always gets it confused with the shared ownership scheme. But it's basically an equity loan that they offer you. So I think it's about 25% we borrowed, like as an equity loan, as a first time buyer help to buy scheme thing that was only available to first time buyers, obviously. So basically the deal with that is you have to give the help to buy scheme people, I think it's like 25% of your equity when you come to sell, or you pay it off as you go. But it's a 5-year, sorry, I've explained this really badly, I'm awful with things like this, but it's a 5-year scheme. So at the end of those 5 years, you either have to sell up to pay back that equity loan that you've taken from them, or you have to remortgage. And with mortgage rates and how much this house would have gone up in value, we don't think it will be worth it remortgaging to stay in this house. As much as we love this house so much, I think by that time, it will be 2025. We'll be looking to sort of get a bigger house, basically for the next chapter in our life. And even if we were to stay in this house, like I'd say we could stay in this house without that in mind for an extra 2 or 3 years before we have to really upsize. But it just wouldn't be worth remortgaging the whole house for a couple of extra years, if that makes sense. So we will be looking to move. But obviously, like the process of buying a house and getting your house sold, it's not a quick one. I'm just pouring in the melted butter now. It's definitely not a quick one, and it's something that we're going to have to think about soon. It's not just going to happen straight away, which is kind of like naively what we both had in mind was going to happen. Like we were just going to get to 2025, put our house on the market straight away, but obviously these things take time, so we are going to have to think about moving, and that comes with, I know this sounds I don't know if this sounds silly, but that does come with a lot of anxiety, and it makes me feel really nervous. We were both saying the same thing, like the thought of having to make that decision, because it's not just about buying a new house, it's about deciding on a location where we want to live. And if you've watched my videos before, especially like my Q&A catch-ups, you'll know that we live up in East Yorkshire, which is around about where Sam is from. And I'm originally from Cambridgeshire, which is about 2.5 hours from here, and that's where all my family still live, and my friends aren't too far away from there, and I've not lived near my family since I was 18. I moved to uni in Sheffield, which again is like 2.5 hours away from home, and pretty much straight from uni moved in with Sam, so I've not lived around my family for a really long time, and it's something that I really miss, and sometimes living away from them, it can feel quite isolating. Like if Sam's busy, he's with his friends or whatever, which I don't like, I'm completely happy for him, let him do whatever he wants, obviously, but I can sometimes feel quite lonely here and quite isolated, and I know if I was back home with my family, I'd spend a lot more time with my family than Sam does with us living here. I think it's a boy thing, like I'd always be with my family, but he, you know, boys don't really think about that kind of thing too much. So it doesn't feel like a waste. This sounds awful. It doesn't feel like a waste living near Sam's family because he doesn't utilise seeing them as much. But I know that we wouldn't see them that much less if we were living down south, if that makes sense. We don't see them all the time, and we're literally like 15 minutes away from them. So yeah, in my heart, I would really love to be closer to my family. But there's so many different factors that go into that, you know. As much as I want to be near my family, I don't really want to move back to my hometown as such, so it would be looking around the area to find a new village or town, but also house prices are literally disgusting where I'm from, like actually like impossible. It's just a completely different world. If we'd moved down south when we were buying this house, number one, we wouldn't have had a house this size, there's no way. And I think we would have moved out a lot later than what we did here, because houses are just, like our house type, because we're in a new build, our exact same house type, so the exact same house down south where I'm from was nearly £200,000 more than what we paid here. So it's like an extra house. It's like the price of an extra house. So yeah, there's a lot of factors, and I also love the area that we live now. We both love it. Like we've even said like to have kids in this area. Like it's such a lovely like location. We're so lucky with like the shops and the amenities that we have around us. The area is beautiful. Like so, we're in a bit of a tricky situation. But it's something that we're having to start thinking about now. So obviously I'll keep you updated with any thoughts that we have on that. But yeah, we've just got a lot of thinking to do. And working out what's best for us, and also the next house we buy, we've both said like it will probably be the house that we start a family in, which literally makes me feel sick thinking of that, but it's true. Like I'm not going to buy a house and then, like, I know things happen and things change, but I don't really want to keep moving. Like the next house that we buy, I'd hope to live there for like 5 to 10 years. I think everyone hopes that, don't they? You don't really want to buy a house and just live in it for a year. So yeah, we've got a lot of thinking to do about that, but it is exciting. It's just big adult decisions, isn't it? And that can be a bit scary sometimes, but yeah, that's a bit of a house update. So yeah, we shall see. It's very exciting, but very, very scary at the same time. And also another thing is my job situation has changed. So when we bought this house, I was in full-time employment in an office, 9 to 5. So getting a mortgage for us was like, obviously it's not a breeze as first time buyers. You still have to look around and it's still like a complex thing to do, but because we were both in full-time employment, I can imagine it being a lot more straightforward than what it's going to be now that I'm self-employed and having the job that I do. So it literally makes me nervous just thinking about it, but we'll work it out, and it is exciting, and we're very blessed to be in a position that it's an option to buy another house. So yeah, a little adult life update there. The next, changing the subject completely, I said in the beginning there's no like order to these questions at all, as you'll probably be able to tell, but my updated gym and exercise routine. I have quite a lot of questions about this, I think because I show my Pilates and stuff, and I've shown myself at the gym before. People have asked me to show like my gym workouts and stuff, which has never been something that I've really done, because I just think like there's so many other people that are more qualified for that than me, and I've always just winged it, really, to be totally honest with you. But at the moment I'm not going to the gym. I've really fallen out of love with the gym. I'm just going to whack this in the fridge now. Now is a bit that I'm dreading, because I've got to whip this by hand until it's thick, because I don't have an electric whip. So we're probably going to be here for about an hour and a half. But anyway, the question was about my gym routine and my exercising, and as I just said, I've really fallen out of love with the gym, because I've found an exercise for the first time in my life, that I genuinely look forward to and love so much. It's just put me off the gym, and I don't hate going to the gym. Like I always feel good after for it, and you know, there's some days that I go and I feel really good and I really enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm never like excited to go to the gym. I'm never like, oh yeah, let's go to the gym. Like, it's not something that's ever come really naturally to me. It's something that I've had to almost force, I'm not gonna lie. But Reformed Pilates, I love it. This whisk sounds weird, let me wash it quickly. I think that dried properly. It still had dishwasher water in it. You know, dishwasher water smells like salt. That's what it smelled like. Anyway, yeah, I love Reformed Pilates so much, and it's expensive. It is really expensive. I had someone comment that the other day on my video, like, how do you go to Reformed Pilates? But for me, it's really important to keep moving and to keep exercising, especially the job that I have. I'm at home all day, every day. Some days the only steps that I get in is literally to the fridge, and that is it. I'm not even being dramatic. Like, I probably do like 1,000 steps, not even that, probably like 300 steps a day. So for me, to keep my body moving is so important. So it is expensive, I'm not gonna lie, but to me it's 100% worth it. And if I wasn't doing Reformed Pilates, I wouldn't be doing any exercise, because I go through these phases of hating the gym. I've done it before, and then I'll get back into it, but like, for me it's better to be continuing to do something. And I only do Reformed Pilates twice a week, so I have a class on a Tuesday and a Thursday, or whatever days I can do that week. And for me, I just have to keep going to those and keep moving, and I love going to them. Like, I genuinely look forward to them, which is not something that I've really ever had before. So yeah, so I'm loving my Reformed Pilates, but I'm not into the gym at the moment. Don't get me wrong, I probably will start going again, because I am still paying for my membership, which is another thing. But me and Sam use the sauna and the steam room every week. So yeah, but for me it's just been a way that I can keep exercising and enjoying exercise without having to force myself, because there's nothing worse than having to force yourself to exercise. Like, it makes you not want to do it. I got to that point where I was like getting up and like, I don't want to go to the gym, and I feel like it affects the quality of the exercise you're doing as well. Don't get me wrong, any exercise is better than no exercise. Like, when I go through these phases sometimes with the gym, I'll just drag myself to go and then put a video on YouTube, get my water bottle, and just do like a 30-minute walk or something. I feel like that's better than nothing. But if you can find an exercise that works for you and that you look forward to going to, it's not just about your body. That helps your mental as well. So yeah, I'm definitely loving my Reformed Pilates, and I'll stick with that for as long as I do so. And I just feel like it's exercise that works for my body as well. The gym for me always felt wrong, as weird as that sounds, because I'm quite petite. there's nothing to me really. Like me trying to lift these heavy weights and that, it just felt like it wasn't right for my body. Whereas reformer Pilates, I feel like the movements, it just comes really naturally to me, and it just feels like I should be doing that, if that makes sense to anyone. I don't know if that's a load of rubbish, but that's how I genuinely feel. So it is really expensive, but to me it's worth it. And like each week you can see that you're progressing. And what I like as well about it is I've never had like a PT, or I've never really gone to classes before. But what I like about reformer Pilates is you know you're doing it right, because they're so on it with like the position of your body. Like my instructors are really good, so you know that you're doing it right, and you'll know that you're doing these things that are going to help your bones, your muscles, your joints. That's what I love about Pilates as well, is it's not just about looking good, it's about actually helping like your bone loading, your ankle mobility. Like it's just a really good exercise to keep your body nice and mobile and healthy, and just feeling amazing. So 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend reformer Pilates if you've been thinking about it. To me, I know the price tag can put you off, but to me that price tag is 110% worth it. But anyway, now I'm going to add some white chocolate chips. I think I'm going to do, I'll do 2 bags of these, and then we'll save 1 bag for the top of it. I love white chocolate. And I'll just melt these in the microwave. Right, white chocolate chips in the microwave, and then in a separate bowl I'm going to put, I've got 3 of these little pots of cream cheese. It still freaks me out that this is actual cheese in a cake. I said this to Sam the other day, he didn't realise. He was like, why is it called a cheesecake? I was like, because it's made of cheese. He was like, what? It's not actual cheese though, is it? I was like, yeah, it's Philadelphia. So that icked him out a bit, I think. I was going to burn my chocolate chips then. Give them a mix. Right, where's my phone? Next question. This is this a question? I don't know, but I get messages about it quite a lot. I'd say like every day, every other day. And this makes me sound really cocky and really big-headed, but it's basically about advice about growing online, and I feel like I'm not really the person. Have I just burnt them? No. And I feel like I'm not really the person to answer this. Hello. Because my page and my content and stuff is still so small compared to other people's. And I know you shouldn't compare and whatever, but I just feel like I'm not really in the position to, I don't know. But I do get asked it, so I thought I'd include it. And whenever I reply to anyone who messages me about this, I always say, one, you've got to just be as real as you can, be as raw and as authentic as you can, because I feel like when I watch content of other people, I feel like you can just see right through it when people aren't being genuine, but I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's a bit of a show sometimes, I don't know. So being like as real as you can possibly be, like obviously, like being completely honest with you, like the way that I am with Sam obviously isn't exactly the same way that I am on camera, because talking to a camera, it's not like a natural human interaction, is it? So it is obviously going to be slightly different, but I mean like the person that you are, do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's making any sense, but yeah, just being as real and as authentic as you can possibly be. And the second thing that I'd always say, is that 3 pence in that? Am I missing one? Oh, it's here. And the second thing I always say is consistency. Like, you can't just post like once every now and then when you fancy it, because especially with TikTok now, like it is so much harder to grow on these platforms because there's just so many more people like making videos. Back in like lockdown and stuff like that, it wasn't easy to blow up, but I felt like you had more of a chance of doing it because less people were actually posting on the platform. So you have to show up every day. Like there's no way that you're going to grow by posting like one carousel post on TikTok like once every 2 weeks, you know what I mean? You have to show up every single day. Because I think the algorithm favours it. I hate that word, the algorithm, but I feel like it does. And you've got to make people become familiar with you and see your face and, you know, show up and yeah, just consistency I'd say is number one. But that's the same with everything. Like even if you're trying to become like freelance and work on your own stuff, consistency is the most important part. You've got to show up every day, even on the days where you don't feel like it and you don't fancy it. Just do something, like just as much as you can do that day. And I feel like it gets you into good habits as well. So yeah, that would be my tip. You may have changed angles slightly, sorry about that. We are running low on battery, so I'm going to have to speed this up. But I've just looked at my other video that I did of this, and I said to leave in the comments questions. So this is just a couple that I've got from there as well. So the first one was more about our relationship, mine and Sam's relationship. I don't know whether I've said this online or not. I don't know whether I've really spoke about it, but how we met, me and Sam met on Tinder. Classic. In my last couple of weeks at uni. So the timing of it, like it just lined up perfectly. Like if we were a couple of days later, it just wouldn't have happened because I was moving back to Cambridge. And my mum always jokes and said like, I was just about to get you back and then you met Sam and you moved up there. So yeah, we met on Tinder and pretty much from our first date, we were in like a full-blown relationship. It went really quickly. I moved in with his mum and dad literally like a couple of months after knowing each other. Like it moved that quickly. But yeah, I was living in Sheffield obviously at uni. He was here in East Yorkshire, so it's about 45 minutes, and he drove to Sheffield for our first date, went out for a couple of drinks, and our first date lasted about 48 hours and the rest is history. So that's how we met. No, I've just added, that looks really good actually. I melted the white chocolate and added a bit of more of the double cream because it went a bit sticky, a bit hard. I'm just going to add everything together now. And then the next question that I've just remembered was just tips about buying a house and as first time buyers. I have got some videos on here solely dedicated to that, but me and Sam were really fortunate enough to live with his mum and dad while we were saving for this house. And also another thing that we were sort of blessed with was COVID, because we were in lockdown, we weren't spending any money, so I feel like that accelerated our savings even more. I feel like it would have taken us a lot longer otherwise. So as awful as it was, the timing of COVID and lockdown couldn't have come better for me and Sam. But honestly, just little things, like we didn't buy anything for ourselves in that time leading up to saving for this house. Like every single penny that we earned went into our savings for this house and for all the furniture and stuff that you need. Like we just saved and saved and saved. Didn't go out, like date nights would be at home in Sam's mum and dad's living room. So yeah, you've just got to really pinch your pennies and it might seem like you're being tight, but it's worth it in the end to have your own house. And yeah, it's a short term, what's the saying? It's a long term gain, basically. Like it's not fun having to save that much money because you literally cannot do or buy yourself anything, but it's worth it in the end. So there's no magic really like book, or do you know what I mean? It's just saving. It's just a long slog, but it's so worth it. It's really good. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there because we're nearly finished this mixture. I'm literally just going to plop this on top of the cheesecake. But thank you so much if you have watched this video. If it's been a bit rambly, a bit all over the place, apologies, but I thought it would be fun for us to just have a catch up because I feel like on the weekly vlogs, obviously you get to see my life, like you're with me every day. We don't really get to like sit down and have a catch up. Not that really anything's changed or exciting in our life at the moment, but yeah, let me know if you've got any questions like this for the next one that I film, because I've said it before, I don't use TikTok like I don't use Instagram like I use TikTok, so I can never put up one of those question boxes. So if you've got any questions, then leave them in the comment of this video and I'll answer them next time. But yeah, I'll show you the cheesecake when it's finished. It's going to need to set in the fridge, but I'll show you the finished result. But other than that, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and have a lovely rest of your day. The last clip you'll see is the finished cheesecake, and fingers crossed it all works out and goes to plan. because I've literally just winged this. Look how good that looks. I'm so chuffed with myself. I just crushed up some more of the Biscoff biscuits, sprinkled them on, and then drizzled some white chocolate on top. And then it's just got to go in the fridge to set. But I am so impressed with that.